Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, I.J. Rosenberg back at the desk. Georgia High School Sports Daily brought to you by IBEW Local 613. Craig Sager always to my side, to my left. We got Najee Wilkins with us. Hope everybody had a very fun and safe Halloween. Got a great picture for you. We'll take a look at later of what we did last night with the family. But we got a crazy show. So we're going to get through it really quickly. We're going to go real quick to the fast break headlines. Norcross gets a shot at slowing down Brookwood running back Braden Tyson. The sophomore from Brookwood has 1,824 rushing yards. That's over 200 yards a game. 10 yards a carry, which is incredible, Craig. 23 touchdowns this season. He is ranked number 1 in 6A and number 2 overall in the state for rushing yards. But there you see him right there. Just sort of looks like Derrick Henry a little bit. Norcross, of course, which traditionally fields one of the best defenses actually in the state, gets a crack at slowing this kid down. Should be a great game tonight. And the winner of the game will get a home game in Region 7, Class 6A. So that's a big deal, Craig, to get a home game and not have to go south, because the number 3 seed, I think, has to open up not only on the road, but I think they do have to, we'll see, but I think they do have to go south. So, a big night for Brookwood. See if Tyson's going to go over 200 again. Incredible. Craig, you got the second headline?
Unstoppable. All right, so let's head to Middle Georgia in Bibb County. Westside-Macon head football coach Shedrick Spoon Risper ties the Bibb County record for career wins as the Seminoles trounced Rutland last week. It was his 114th career victory. He tied Central Macon's head coach Tom Simonton, so now he can break the record. Tonight, they will be playing at Jackson High School. These teams have identical records. Westside's 4-5, Jackside's 4-5, and they're both 2-2 in the region. So this will be for the number 3 finish. Loser will take number 4. So a big opportunity. He tied the record last week. Now Coach Risper has a chance to take sole position of it.
All right, before we go to headline 3, I want to show everybody the photo of us last night, our little granddaughter, Najee. Got that kind of mixed up. Anyway, of course, Ashley is my daughter, who's right here. That looks like me. She loves sloths, and she's the only one not looking at the camera, but she's awful cute. Everybody's got a sloth. There's her father. Najee all the way down the left side, just kidding. No, that's Alex. So that was a lot of fun last night as we had a good time with the granddaughter. So Najee, who I sort of put you in several spots there, give us headline 3.
Yes, sir. All right, man. So Jonesboro pulls off a massive upset. They beat Stars Mill 29-24. I talked to Cortez Redden, who had a big game and out, won a lot of big hits. Asked them, what does this show that your team can accomplish in the playoffs and going forward? And here's the interview.
Man, after this game showed me we come together as a unit and we can beat anybody. I like us over the whole 4A.
And Najee, I'll tell you what, for a Thursday night game, I mean, that was, Craig pointed out, one of the best Thursday night games that we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, 100% agree, IJ. I've been to a couple games this year. I think it's one of the best ones I've seen this season. I mean, back and forth, trying to stop the wing tee, both teams throwing haymakers. You can't get much better than that.
Yeah, and that's a good South Atlanta matchup right there. All right, Georgia High School Football Daily. Make sure to check out Todd and Chip's newsletter every morning. You can sign up right there on that QR code. A couple of things to check out this morning. Of course, every Friday they've got the rushing, passing, and receiving leaders, so make sure to check that out. They also talk about a matchup of number 1s. The Toombs County Savannah Christian game will be the 22nd in GHSA history that pits number 1 ranked teams. Those matchups are more common in recent years because of more classifications. There were actually, Craig, only 4 of those matchups as of 1999. We'll talk about in a few minutes who we like in this game. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be a heck of a football game.
And I think this has to be the first time it's ever happened within the same region. That, of course, comes because we have the split. Maybe it happened in the first A public, A private, but this is a great opportunity. You're going to get to see the #1 team in Class A Division I, Toombs County, go up against the #1 team in the A through 3A, Savannah Christian, and then we'll have the #2 and #3 teams playing tonight. So
Yes.
this is really going to, those two games I feel like are going to show us how good these teams are in the lower classes.
Yeah, and obviously the other big game tonight, and we'll talk about later, is Carrollton and Douglas County. Also in the newsletter this morning, really good 4 questions with GHSA official Jeff Tidrick. Najee, Craig, listen to this. Jeff worked his final Georgia game last week after 52 years. He might have actually gotten a couple of both of our games. The 74-year-old is moving to North Carolina. Tidrick started when he was in his 20s and may continue to year 53 this fall in his new state, and we certainly want to wish him the best. Thursday's trivia question in the newsletter, Toombs County, the #1 team in Class A Division I, is playing Savannah Christian, the #1 team in Class 3A through A private. The second meeting between the #1 ranked teams this season. What was the first? Hint, it was the opening game for both. Did you get that right?
Najee and I figured it out, process of elimination.
All right, Buford, of course, versus Milton. That was played on August 16th. Was the first game of the season between #1 ranked teams. And, of course, Toombs County, Savannah Christian tonight is the second. Milton, by the way, won that game. Friday's question, tonight's Coffee-Thomas County Central game will be the 29th meeting in the GHSA history between reigning state champions. Thomas County Central won 6A last season. Coffee won 5A. A similar matchup took place last season between Benedictine and Ware County. The most memorable champion on champion game was probably the 2007 second-round playoff matchup that was a rematch of a championship game that ended in a tie. What were those two teams involved in those 2006 and 07 games?
I think it was Roswell and Peachtree Ridge. That is my guess.
And of course, Roswell and Peachtree Ridge, that game ended up being a tie, and that was when they changed the rules. In fact, everybody thought the game was going into overtime. I'll never forget. I was at that game, and Score, even back then, was covering it. And I remember nobody really understood what the overtime rules. There were no overtime rules. So kids were throwing stuff on the field. It was crazy. It really was crazy. All right, let's start off. We're going to do half of the statewide selections right now. We've got the big Toombs County at Savannah Christian. Right now, Craig is going with Savannah Christian as well as myself. Najee, you're going with Toombs County.
Yeah, I'm going with Toombs County. I like the athletes. I know it's going to be tough. They're going to have to block up, obviously, Elijah Griffin, LaDamian Guyton, which will be tough. But if they get a little bit of a semblance of a running game and get the ball to the playmakers on the outside, they could have a chance. Easier said than done, but I like Toombs County. I think they can come out with a win.
Well, best player in the state maybe on Savannah Christian, so lots going to be on the big defensive lineman's shoulders tonight. All right, Dublin at Dodge County. Won't talk about that very much since all of us are going with Dublin. Dublin should win that game. Class A Division II, we've got Brooks County at Irwin County. Both Najee actually is going out on a sort of a wing this time, going with Irwin County. Craig, you and I have Brooks County. Craig, what do you think about this?
I think it's going to be an outstanding matchup, state championship feel. Brooks County has just had such a difficult schedule. They seem to always rise up and not only win these top matchups against the #1s and #2s, but sometimes even dominate them. So I think the ceiling is just a little higher for Brooks County when they're going on all cylinders.
Najee, you're sort of picking a little bit of an upset here.
Yeah, I am picking an upset. I want to see the resolve of Irwin County. We're my #1 for throughout most of the year before they lost to Clinch County 34-28. How do they rebound? Will they be able to get Shane Marshall involved? That's my key impact player in this one. I think they can pull it off. It won't be easy because, as Craig mentioned, they do have a tough schedule.
All right, let's drop down to Greene County, another Class A Division II game. We're adding some games in here today. Because it is the last game of the season, or excuse me, the last real week of the season. We'll have another week of the regular season next week, but not many games. Greene County at Lincoln County. Craig, all of us going with Lincoln. I think Lincoln wins this one. It could be a pretty good game.
It will be. I think this is probably the toughest game Lincoln County's played this season. They're an 18-point favorite according to the computer, but I think it's going to be much closer than that. Greene County is a very talented team, and this is a big test for Lincoln County. Right now, they're #1 in the playoff rating system. So if they lose this game, it's going to hurt them. They want to win this game. It's more than just the region title. They want to have home field throughout the playoffs.
All right, now let's go to our TV game. Of course, tonight at 8 o'clock, we'll have Prince Avenue Christian at Hebron Christian at PSN. Got a little surprise for you, sort of pulling the mothballs off one of our former TV reporters to do the game, since Kaylee, of course, works for Dog Nation, and she will not be there. We're not going to tell you who that is. We'll make sure that you tune in to find that out. And she actually is going to have a lot of family at the game. Sort of an interesting story, what she'll tell you about tonight. Anyway, Prince Avenue Christian at Hebron Christian. Craig, you're going with Prince Avenue. Both Najee and myself, Hebron Christian. This is a toss-up.
It really is. The one thing I'll say about Prince Avenue, I just like the way they fight. They play with so much effort. They're so well conditioned, and I think an underrated aspect of Prince Avenue Christian this year is their defense. Hebron's going to be considered the better defense. They've got a ton of talent, some Mr. Georgia watch list guys on that defense, but I think as a unit, Prince Avenue, especially that linebacker core, is very underrated.
And Najee, real quick, in the fan vote, we put a fan vote out there, and Prince Avenue Christian 63%. To Hebron, 37%. Najee, to make our picks look too good.
No, it does not. It makes it look tough, but I'm with Craig. This is a toss-up. I think the defensive line and the speed that Hebron Christian has on the outside with Garrett Kemp, Carrington Coombs, Seacon John, who had 12 tackles in the last game, is going to be very intriguing to watch. I feel like Prince Ave is battle-tested with the schedule that they've played this year, BT, Westside, Mallard Creek, but I think this is going to be a phenomenal game, and I think Hebron Christian is going to be ready.
All right, that wraps up our first segment. A lot of news coming up, interviews. Should be a great show. You are watching the Georgia High School Sports Daily on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
The Georgia Sheet Metal JETC equips apprentices with the knowledge and skills required to start a rewarding career in the sheet metal industry with programs in HVAC, industrial welding, and testing, adjusting, and balancing. Training is 100% free and allows apprentices to earn as they learn. Journeymen graduate with no student debt and have the potential to earn more than most college graduates. Visit our website to learn more about this opportunity at careersinsheetmetal.com.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, we're back here at the Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613. I want to thank Kenny Mullins and, of course, Randy Beal from GeorgiaConstructions.com, all the unions for really helping get this show on the air. We're excited to be here. We'll end up doing about 170-something shows this year. You can also watch us on several digital networks, the Atlanta News First app. You can also watch the games on Friday night on that as well as the CBS Zine, which is the streaming portal, ZEAM. You can go there. You can always go to our YouTube page and watch the shows we do an encore performance every week, every night, 11 o'clock on the Peachtree Sports Network. And then after our game, this show will come on tonight, as well as the National Federation High School Network, which you can pick up the show every day live on. All right, I want to welcome in Hebron Christian coach, head football coach, Jonathan Gess, one of my favorites. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, let's start this way. This is a biggie tonight, okay? We're excited to be at your place. Of course, you guys need to win a couple of state championships so you can build a bigger press box so we don't have to do the game in the crowd. No, I'm just kidding with you. But talk a little bit about your kids. Before we talk about Prince Avenue, talk about your kids. Obviously you were very successful at Eagles Landing. You've come over and done the same thing at Hebron. But talk about your team this year through the first 9 games of the season.
Yeah, we got a really talented team. And so through the first 9 games of the season, obviously we're 8-1, lost that one game to Blessed Trinity. And, we made a lot of mistakes that game that we can't make tonight. But, what's really cool about this team is offense has been really productive. We've had 3,400 yards of offense through 9 games. Defensively, defense has been playing great, giving up less than 10 points per game. So it's a complete team. There's special players on the team. It starts with Sean John. He's a UVA commit. He's also a kid that Georgia's still after. Defensive lineman, just super dominant. Carrington Coombs is a Georgia Tech commit, defensive end. Wide receiver DB, Jarrett Kemp. He's an NC State commit. So, those are 3 high-profile guys. So just a really good team, good leadership, and just super excited to see what happens tonight.
Before we get to Prince, though, one of the things I wanted to ask you was a really good story. Todd Holcomb, who does the morning newsletter and I work with at the AJC, coach for a very long time, wrote a really good story about St. Francis. Did you get a chance to read that story about the St. Francis football team? So let me just tell you. So St. Francis is down to 14 players. They have forfeited their last game. They forfeited, I think, 4 games this year. The former coach, Ryan Lively from Mount Pisgah, is over there. And that's what these schools do. They hire coaches like Jonathan Gess, the private schools, bring the coaches over, let them build their program. St. Francis a couple of years ago had 6 or 7 of the top players in the state. It was incredible. But the head of school, for one reason or another, decided, I guess the parents got mixed up and wanted some power here and there and this and stuff like that. So they've had to break. So it's broken down. All those kids left. They're playing at Milton.
Wondering if they're even going to play this year.
Yeah, they're playing at Milton. They're playing at a lot of other places.
Right.
But Jonathan, talk about yourself coming over to Hebron and the pressure of you coming from a school like Elka, which you had built plenty of state championships at. But talk a little bit about how you've tried to build this program, at the same time made the administration happy, because I know when kids start transferring and moving and you've got a kid that's been there since he was a freshman and he gets replaced. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think with anything, a public school coach would tell you this about their superintendent, but when you take a job, they're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. So our head of school, James Taylor, I really clicked with him when I met him. He's the most important one that I would interact with. And does he have a vision for football? Does he want to be good? And then your athletic director, Taylor Davis, is he going to help you become good? And then you kind of look at the school, like, Hebron Christian. It's a sprawling campus. It's right on the east side of Gwinnett, right under Buford, and
y'all in
right
Decula,
beside
right?
Mill Creek.
Are y'all in Decula?
Yeah, Decula. Yeah. So we're Decula. So right there, you got Grayson to the south, you got Collins Hill to the west, you got Buford and Mill Creek to the north, and just the talent that's in Gwinnett. So you have this amazing Christian school, you have amazing leadership. And so I just believed, hey, we can turn this into something really special and maybe even do it better than what we did at Eagles Landing Christian. So I think that's kind of how it works. I mean, we live in a day and age, college coaches, they complain about it all the time, the transfer portal. We live in the transfer portal. These kids, if you have a backup quarterback, he will transfer. Like, it's a done deal. He's going to. So, I mean, that's kind of the world we live in. So the thing that we have to focus on as coaches is we have to have great relationships, personal relationships with our players so that they want to play for us and they don't want to play for another coach.
Craig?
And Coach Gess, we all know what Prince Ave has been able to accomplish these last few years, outstanding team, state championship team. What I think is interesting this year, though, that we haven't seen, they're running like a 2-quarterback system. They're rotating 2 guys in. What kind of challenges does that present, just defensively, having 2 quarterbacks that are going to share the role that might have a different skill set?
Yeah, obviously Prince has become like one of the premier private schools in the state of Georgia. They do a really, really good job. Greg Vandergrift, super good coach. And I've seen them evolve. At Elka, we played them in 2012 in the state championship and seen them throughout the years. Played them when they had Brock, and I watched them when they had Philo. So the difference in this team, I think it's more of a complete team. Their defense is a little bit better than some of the defenses I've seen. And then, their offensive line is better than what I've seen. They have a premier running back, which they've never had before. And yes, they have 2-quarterback system. And I would say this, both quarterbacks they're not Brock, they're not Philo, but both of them are a problem because they both can run. They can move, they can scramble, they can throw good enough. And so, man, it makes it really, really hard to defend.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Coach, I mean, y'all's bracket starting in a couple of weeks. I mean, whoever wins Class A to 3A, I mean, it's going to be tough, Coach. I mean, it's like 5 and 6A. I mean, it is really competitive.
Oh man, it's kind of like, this is a huge game and it's big and all that kind of stuff. But I was telling somebody today, I was like, win or lose, let's say we win. I was like, we're just going to have to play them again probably. And, so this won't be the last time we see Prince Avenue, I doubt this year, unless we run into somebody else. But no, there's super good teams in private school, and they're so well coached, and there's so many good coaches in private school football these days, and so much talent, way more than it was 10 years ago. So, it's going to be a gauntlet.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach. I'm sure you've looked at the bracket and everything like that, but how big a difference is it for the team that wins tonight and wins the number 1 seed?
Actually, I'm one of those people, I don't look at the brackets. I have no clue. I just try to focus on the game that we have. And, when we get done tonight, we'll look into all that stuff and see how it unfolds. I would say that the benefit of winning tonight is you're going to get home field advantage, I believe, through the playoffs. I don't know if it's I'm going to play a lesser team or better team. There's so many good teams, and how power ratings are, you really don't know. Just because a team won their region, that doesn't mean that they're better than the second place team from another region.
Right.
So it's kind of like you really don't know if you're going to get a better bracket because you win. You just know you're going to get home field advantage.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. We look forward. I know it's senior night tonight, so it's a big night. We know one of the families up there, the Carey family, the daughter that is a cheerleader for you guys.
Yep.
Her sister-in-law will be up there actually handling the sidelines for you, which will be fun, I think, for everybody in that family. And Jonathan, I always wish you the best, baby. You're in Corky Kell this year. We look forward to having you back next year, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach. That's Jonathan Gess from Elka. You're watching the Georgia High School Sports Daily on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, back here, Score Atlanta Studios up in Roswell, Georgia, and finishing out the week with another good show, The Daily. Of course, tonight we've got the big game with Hebron Christian hosting Prince Avenue Christian. You'll be able to watch that. We'll start about 8 o'clock. Well, we will start about 8 o'clock with the pregame. Kickoff probably about 5 or 6 minutes later. Before we move on, Craig, did you wear that crazy outfit that you on the show yesterday last night? Or did you do anything for trick or treating?
I didn't do anything. I just went to bed, stayed out of trouble.
It's probably smart.
Yeah. I thought about it. I was like, man, it's tempting to go out, but.
Yeah, I spent my night with about 15 toddlers. Crazy outfits. I'll tell you what's cool now with the big difference between when I was growing up and going out. You know, my parents I'm sure they took me trick-or-treating the first couple of years, but they never dressed up. But now the parents dress up. And the grandparents, I dressed up for my grandkids. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's my sister and her little ones. They all dressed up as Minnie Mouse, and her husband dressed up as Pluto. So they did the whole family thing. The good news is Najee kept me.
What did Najee dress up? That's us. That's the family, by the way.
Najee was at the Stars Mill Jonesboro game, so I was just following his Twitter all night.
Najee, did you dress up?
I did in the studio.
I saw that. Yeah. But you didn't wear it to the Jonesboro game?
Nah, I just kind of dressed a little more comfortable.
It's
gonna be too much trying to dress up and watch the game, you know?
No, you're right. You know, listen to this. I heard a crazy number last night. $700 million is spent on outfits for pets.
Wow.
For pets. $700 million. Can you imagine what they must spend on for everybody else? $700 million for pets. We did see a couple of pets last night that were dressed up. We also saw a couple of adults dressed up as pets. All right, let's get back to the statewide selections. Great game. You know, it's fun. This is a fun one. This is a game that has been up and down for quite a while now. At one time, it was just a crazy atmosphere, and I'm sure it still is. And that's, of course, Valdosta, the 6A matchup at Lowndes. Well, they play at the same stadium, but Valdosta at Lowndes. Both Najee and myself have Valdosta. You went with Lowndes.
I did. I was very impressed with how Lowndes handled business against Richmond Hill last week. That's a team that's unbelievable at running the football. You got to be well prepared for that. I think the key for me is it's obviously Todd Robinson for Valdosta. How healthy is he going to be? He scored both touchdowns last week against Tiff County in his first game back from an injury. I just think it is going to take a heroic performance by Todd Robinson to.
Is Robinson moving around pretty good? Because I heard that he's still, having some issues.
He is, but the offense, without him, the offense really struggled. But when we had Coach Felton on earlier, and Najee brought it up, their offense thrives on running fast tempo, trying to get 70, 80 plays a game. When they're struggling offensively and it's not all clicking, it all falls on Todd Robinson's shoulders. So I think if he wins this game, he's going to the top of our list for Mr. Georgia. I think if he loses this game, they'll still be dangerous, but I feel like they've taken a couple steps back in the last few weeks just trying to battle through this tough region.
All right, and so, Najee, do we know what the deal is here? So Lowndes, Valdosta play. Are they playing for the region? Because Colquitt's still 3-1, and they play Richmond Hill. So what's the deal with the three-way? Do we know?
This is a region championship game from what I've heard from multiple sources. So whoever wins this is going to clinch.
Yeah. And I have a very interesting update. So Jaden Duckett, Sprayberry's head coach, quarterback who we saw earlier this season, there's a situation tonight where they're playing Woodstock. He got ejected from the game last week. He was in an altercation with a player, accidentally hit a referee, just batted his hand down. They lost the appeal. So now Jaden Duckett is out tonight against Woodstock. And listen to this. If Sprayberry wins, they're the number 1 seed. If they lose, they're the number 4 seed.
Yeah,
that is a brutal situation.
And Craig, I'm glad you brought that up because looking at Lowndes, Valdosta, Colquitt, Richmond Hill, and Camden County, of course, in Region 1, and Najee, I think this is a situation where, like you said, the winner wins the region, but depending on who the loser is, the loser, however, could end up, let's see, well, no, they can't because Colquitt and Richmond play, but the loser could end up as a 3, which is a killer because they're going to have to come up north for a first-round game.
Yep.
So, that's there. We're talking about Douglas County and some of the other games, but that is a big reason to win this football game, because if you lose, there's a good chance, especially if Colquitt wins, I think Colquitt would probably end up finishing second in that region, and then the loser of the Lowndes-Valdosta game would move down to 4. Of course, Richmond Hill could, if they beat Colquitt, that's going to knock the whole thing crazy open as well. So we'll have to see on that. All right, in the other big 6A game, Carrollton at Douglas County. Craig, both you and Najee are going with Douglas County. I'm going with Carrollton. Let me say the reason. I think that both of these are great football teams, extremely talented. The reason I'm going with Carrollton is this. I think it takes a time for a team to they have to get to a certain place in the playoffs before, and they experience, the quarters and the semis before they can go all the way. I think this is Carrollton's year, Craig. I really do.
It sure looks like it. It is going to be an upset if they win. Carrollton's favored by 7. I just think if Douglas County starts off strong and they don't turn the ball over, they can dictate the pace of this game and really heat up. I think they haven't played their best game this season. They've adapted with some of the injuries up front on the offensive line. I think they need to run the ball efficiently, and they can win this one.
Well, and they're playing at Douglas County, and we've done TV there. That's a good home field advantage for them. All right, Class 5A. We've got Roswell and Milton. All of us going Milton. I just don't think there's anybody out there in 5A, at least right now. Maybe Lee County, as the playoffs get into it, but I just don't see it happening. Same with Houston County at Lee County. We all 3 went with Lee County. I think Lee's really good, and we'll have to figure out. We will early next week. Be able to tell you some of these brackets and some of these potential matchups and when Lee and Milton would end up playing. All right, let's drop down to 4A. Perry at Warner Robins. Craig, both of us went with Warner Robins. Najee, you went with Perry.
Yeah, I went with Perry. I know Craig brought up a great point earlier, just talking about Perry potentially resting their players in this one, not playing everybody since they already clinched the region championship. But I still think Perry, this is a team that has a really good head coach, and they're going to always play hard. And I still think, I know Warner Robins is going to probably be the 4 seed. I still think they're going to go in there and come out with a win and play all their players.
All right, let's go down to the second 4A game. That's Cambridge at Blessed Trinity. All of us are going with BT. I think BT wins that game. I don't see Cambridge, especially after the way Cambridge played last week. Let's drop down to 3A, Sandy Creek and Troop. Troop plays at Sandy Creek. Craig, I think Sandy Creek wins this one.
Yeah, they need it bad. Losing to Mary Persons is obviously not what you want to do when you're a state championship contender. Troop is a team that has historically had some upsets late in the season. They're very athletic, but I would expect Sandy Creek to bounce back strong.
And then we've got LaGrange at Upson Lee. All 3 of us went with LaGrange. We got a chance to see LaGrange. Almost their entire team came to the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame last Saturday. Good-looking group of kids. So, they came. We got to pull for them.
Oh,
all right?
absolutely.
They did something for us. We want to pull for them. Jefferson at Oconee County. Najee, I think this one's Jefferson. All 3 of us went with Jefferson.
Yeah, Jefferson just has too much defense side of the ball. You look at Max Brown's having an outstanding season for them. Also, Rhett Hemphill leads them in interception offensively. Gavin Markey's doing a little bit of everything, passing, running. They just have a complete team, and I think Jefferson's going to win this.
All right, let's drop down to 2A. We've got Morgan County, all 3 of us, Craig, Najee, and myself, going with Morgan County. And then Pierce County at Appling County. There is a little difference here. Craig, you went with Appling County. Both Najee and myself went with Pierce County.
Yes, I've had a lot of confidence in Appling County this season. I really like their defense. It's hard to pick against Pierce County, but I think this will be an upset for the Pirates.
All right, we got some cool things coming up. We got Rusty Mansell, who's going to be with us in a few minutes. Make sure to check out him. We'll talk about the upcoming Georgia Elite Classic Showcase on November 10th at Blessed Trinity, and you can sign up for that by going to scoreatl.com. That's going to be a great showcase. We'll be handing out invites there. We're also going to talk about our flag football player of the week. You're watching the Georgia High School Sports Daily on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
The Mechanical Trades Institute is an opportunity towards personal financial freedom through hands-on and rewarding work. Our school is completely free and gives apprentices the knowledge and skills required to gain access to a lifelong career path. Apprentices learn pipe fitting, plumbing, mechanical service, and welding. They earn money as they learn and graduate with no student debt. Start a career with the Mechanical Trades Institute and change your financial future.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Georgia High School Sports Daily here on the Peachtree Sports Network. Big game tonight, Hebron Christian hosting Prince Avenue Christian. That game will start at 8 o'clock. Also, make sure to check out all our coverage on high school. This is the last, what I would call, Craig, full week of high school football. Remember, the season was extended, the regular season, a week. I think probably about 40, 50 games next week. Not any huge games. Grayson's got a big game, but they're playing Saturday. Yep. So, of course, there's a point system this year, a lot of things going on. We'll talk about all of that next week. Very excited to announce next Friday night, we will do the first bracket show ever in the state of Georgia, okay? And we will have all the playoff matchups right here from the studio. Instead of doing a game, we felt like it would be more appealing to the high school football fan to do a show. We'll be on from 8 o'clock to 11. It will be myself, Craig Sager, Najee Wilkins, Rusty Mansell will be in the studio. We'll have everything on this big board behind me. We'll be able to show you all the big matchups, what they look like going up and down the road. So it'll be sort of similar to what the NCAA bracket show.
Yeah, it'll
be fun. We'll unveil it. It'll be a lot of fun.
3 brackets that will be finalized, but I was thinking yesterday, I'm probably going to have to look at softball and volleyball just to see how they seeded these teams in the playoffs. When you win a region, you finish a runner-up, you're guaranteed a playoff spot. But I think looking at those sports on how they made the seedings, it will give me a good idea of being able to predict those other football ones.
Yeah, and don't forget softball championships going on right now in Columbus. Seth Ellerby, who is our guy in Macon's, covering those. We've also got the volleyball championships this weekend. And you can get all that information. We do it for both scoreatl.com and the AJC.com. So make sure to go on that. Also, want to talk about our flag football player of the week. The Georgia High School Football Dailies. We here at Score Atlanta sponsor that. Want to introduce Katie Smith, a senior quarterback at Locust Grove, and her coach, Catherine Patton. Both of you, we appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Well, Katie, want to talk about your great season so far, senior quarterback. You win Player of the Week, 63 of 87 passing for 850 yards and 18 touchdowns in wins over Whitewater, Morrow, Luella, and Union Grove. You've got, I think you might even have more than this now.
53.
Yeah, 53 touchdown passes, over 2,000 passing yards for the season. Locust Grove is 14-0. Katie, talk a little bit about your season. Well, I'll tell you what, start this way. What got you into flag football?
So I started my sophomore year. I joined the team just like for something fun to do. I didn't even try out for a quarterback. I tried out as a receiver, and then they put me as a backup quarterback because they seen that I could throw. And my whole sophomore year, I bench warmed because I was just a backup quarterback. And then my 11th grade year came around, and I just stayed consistent, and I kept working, and I ended up taking the other girl's spot. And then I started my 11th grade year, and it's just been good ever since.
Katie, I mean, are you looking maybe to play after high school?
Oh, definitely. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Coach Patton, talk about your quarterback. You know, she's putting up some incredible numbers, as well as your team undefeated on the season.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely a leader. She shows just good effort out on the field. She shows like good discipline. She practices like on her own also. She's just been really good, really a big help for the whole team.
Coach Patton, you know, we're very into the high school flag. In fact, we just built a scoreboard for ourselves and the AJ, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, for flag football. We're big believers in that. Of course, we had our first Corky Kell Dave Hunter flag classic. But talk about how you got into it as a coach.
Okay, this is my third year at Locust Grove High School. I graduated college 3 years ago, and I played a little bit of intramurals like flag football, but I've played soccer my whole life. When I got to the school, they were like, we need a coach, and I was like, well, I'm not the best. Like, I don't know much about football, but I'd love to be out there and like help out. So I was the assistant coach my first 2 years, or my first year and a half, and then I was the head coach this year and a little bit last year also.
Well, and it looks like you have a really good team and obviously a really good quarterback. Katie, talk about, you know, you're a senior, starting to look at schools for next year. My feeling, I've been in sports all my life, that one day we'll be going to a Georgia-Auburn football game, and a couple of hours before that game, you'll be seeing the ladies play against each other in flag football, which I think will be fantastic. But Katie, talk about, you know, what you might see you doing as you graduate from Locust Grove and move on to college.
Yeah, so I already have 3 offers as of now from a couple of different colleges, and I'm just consistently sending out film and stuff because I definitely want to play at a college level.
Well, you remember, we've got the Georgia Elite Classic, okay, coming up in December. So we're going to be inviting you to that. So hopefully you can come out, get a chance to play on television. Sounds like your team probably is going to get a chance to play in the state championship on television. I think Craig's got a question.
Yeah, Katie, I think it's pretty interesting. When you play soccer, you're a goalkeeper, so that's a defensive position. You don't really get to score many goals. What's it like, though, playing offense at the quarterback position where you've got the ball in your hands every single play?
Honestly, it's the same concept because you're leading the team both ways. You know, as a goalie, you're the last line of defense, so it's still kind of on you. Even if they get through everybody else and they score on me, I would be the last one and I'd be responsible. And it's the same way in football. I'm responsible for throwing touchdowns, completing passes, and things like that.
Katie, you got any brothers?
I do. I have 2 older brothers.
What do they think about it?
They think it's awesome.
They play football or?
No, they played basketball, but I was throwing with the football with them when I was younger, so I think that's where it kind of started.
Yeah, and you whip up on them now pretty good, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, well, listen, we want to wish you both the best. Coach Patton, you've done a fantastic job. We're big fans here. Katie, we'll be sending over you an invitation to the All-Star Games in late December. Whatever decision you make, we wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Katie. Yeah, you know, it's. I'll tell you what's great about interviewing the girls, I don't know what to call them, girls, ladies, they're, you know, whatever. But they're great interviews.
No,
they really are. They do. I hate to say it, but they do such a better job than the guys.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yes. We watched our high school football media day. That's what Najee and I both said after. We're like, man, those flag football interviews were the highlight of the entire event. It was so just great talking to the coaches, the players. And then it's interesting seeing a girl like her who comes out as a receiver, takes over the quarterback position last year for the first time, and now this is a Locust Grove team that didn't even have a 500 record 2 years ago. Now she's leading the state in passing, and so it's just a great story to see her blow up like that.
Well, I got it, and we'll go a couple of seconds late here, but I do have to bring up one story about interviews. You remember the kid we interviewed? He's playing college ball now. He was, I think he was a 9th grader, big kid. We were at Decula for Corky Kell.
Juan Gaston.
Juan Gaston, yeah. I think he was like 14 years old. He was what, 6'6", at least 300 pounds. And you were interviewing him. And he wouldn't say anything. I mean, it was crazy, wasn't it?
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I jumped. You remember me jumping in? Yeah, we had some fun.
You saved me.
I did. I don't know about saving you, but I jumped in. We had some fun. All right, this is our Player of the Week award. We will be sending this down to Katie. We're excited about that. We're also excited about having Rusty Mansell coming up. Rusty always has a lot to say. We'll be right back. Rusty, can you hear us? Can you see him? Can't hear him. I don't know if he can hear us.
2 minutes. This is every time.
Hey.
Can you hear IJ?
Yeah. Rusty, can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear.
Okay. Up on your phone.
I'm on it right now.
Thanks, I can hear him.
Oh, wait. Oh, he can't hear you.
He cannot hear us?
No. So he's going to get on his phone.
Okay. Rusty, can you hear me?
You hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Can you hear us? He still can't hear us.
I'll let you know when we have Rusty. He's logging back on now. 4, 3, 2.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily right here on the Peachtree Sports Network. Our last segment of the week will be back Monday at noon, but also tonight we'll be at Hebron Christian for a huge private school battle with Prince Avenue Christian, two really good coaches. Want to bring on Rusty Mansell on 3, and of course he has a great Georgia side up there. Rusty, how you doing?
Good. You guys got me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you. So Well, I tell you what, before we get into high schools, let's just quickly, because everybody's headed down to Florida, Jacksonville. Of course, the big announcement, of course, Jacksonville's going to be reworking their stadium. Next year, they'll play at Mercedes-Benz. They'll play at Tampa. I'll tell you what, Rusty, for a Florida-Georgia game, those are two great stadiums to play in.
I mean, the fan reaction has not been great. Like, I think it's great. I think it's going to be great. The Georgia fans they want it home and home. The Florida fans want it home and home. I get it, because at the end of the day, IJ, it's about business. And both of these cities are paying these universities thousands and millions of dollars to do that. And I think by the time it rolls around, I think the opinion is going to change. It's going to be a great environment, Mercedes-Benz. It's going to be a great environment in Tampa. They announced this morning, be right back in Jacksonville, 2028 to 2031. I know fans want to do a home and home, but I think when it's all said and done, the excitement around those two cities hosting are going to be great when time comes.
Yeah, Rusty, I think this was a good decision. I mean, you still sort of, in a way, keep it sort of neutral. Of course, Georgia playing in Atlanta is a big deal, but at the same time, Florida playing in Tampa, they have a little bit of home field advantage. But like I said, Raymond James Stadium's fabulous. It really, in my opinion, I saw a national championship there back, I think, in 2016, 2017. In my opinion, Craig, Rusty, Raymond James Stadium is the nicest outdoor stadium in the country. I really, really like that place. The way it's set up with the big screens in the corners and everything like that. All right, let's go to high school football. By the way, real quick, Rusty, any chance Florida has a chance to beat Georgia, you think?
Have to have some turnovers. I think this is the way the SEC is, man. I just be careful how things are. But the thing I think working to Georgia's advantage, they got 2 weeks to prepare for DJ Lagway. You know, Mississippi State true freshman had 300 yards on. They didn't have a lot of tape. The guy played really good. But a true freshman, first time playing in this game in that environment, give Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann 2 weeks. I think they're going to give Lagway some fits tomorrow.
Rusty, let's talk about our game tonight. Really good one. You picked it, Hebron Christian, Prince Avenue. Couldn't have better personalities at Coat. You know, I mean, you got crazy man for Prince Avenue. Jonathan is also a fun character to be with. Who do you see having the upper hand in this game, Rusty?
You know, on paper, I think you would favor Prince Avenue. They got a lot up front. I think Hebron Christian is probably a year away. Doesn't mean they can't win it this year. Last year, Milton was a year away. And look what Milton did. They got hot and won the state championship. So I think tonight you're going to see two very talented football teams. Prince is very senior heavy. That offensive line, I think, is 4 seniors. Got a senior quarterback they've been going with, Jake Bobo. Got a lot of Christian Garrett's a senior. They got a lot of seniors playing a lot of big games. I think Hebron is extremely loaded in sophomore, junior class. This is going to be a great game, and this might not be the only time these two teams play in the next 6-7 weeks, because both of these teams have a chance to win the state championship, and that's why they're on TV tonight. It's the number 2 rated team versus the number 3 rated team in that classification.
That's right, and they're both very similar just with how talented they are. They both lost to BT, so they have a common opponent. I think this is clearly the best Hebron team ever, but then you've been following Prince Ave. I think their defense this year is probably better than some of the defenses they've had in past seasons. How would you compare this Prince team to some of the other championship ones?
It's so different because you go through Brock Vandergriff, you go through Aaron Philo. They threw the ball 200 times a game and they didn't care. They were going to throw the ball. They don't do that this year. You know, they've kind of went with Jake Bobo. He's their guy right now. They got Andrew Beard, who's played twice in the Georgia Elite Classic. He is the nephew of Garrison Hurst, former UGA All-American. Andrew Beard's a 2027 running back. It starts with him. And they got some guys on defense I love. It starts with Christian Garrett, obviously the Georgia Tech commit. I'll give you a sleeper name tonight. Kid named Brody Talbert. His dad, Brandon Talbert, played for Dallas Cowboys, Atlanta Falcons, Jaguars. He's been hurt. He missed all of last year. Kid went from like 5'7.5", no joke. The guy's 6'1" now. He plays corner. He's going to be in a great matchup tonight against Garrett Kemp from the NC State commit. So they've got some guys still that kind of under the radar there, and I'll be interested tonight to see how these guys play. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great environment. I know that place is going to be packed. Small stadium, so get there early.
And, of course, Rusty and Brandon Adams will have the call of that game at 8 o'clock tonight. Before we go to the Georgia Elite Classic, Rusty, I love the picture of your daughter, your youngest daughter, in her Halloween outfit. She behave?
She did, man. She candied out, and it was hard getting her up this morning now. I mean, she had the Georgia-Florida Blues this morning trying to get up to go to school. I imagine, bless these teachers' hearts today, a Friday after Thanksgiving, they're earning their tax dollars today.
I tell you, they ought to take. All right, we've got the big showcase, Georgia Elite Showcase, coming up on November 10th. That is at Blessed Trinity High School at noon, Rusty. It's a chance to get invites. The last one, we gave out 60 invites. We've got a QR code for the showcase right there. And we also have a QR code to nominate a player. Can we bring that one up? You can nominate a player by doing that, or you can go to scoreatl.com, or you, of course, can pick up the morning newsletter as well. Rusty, excited about the Elite Classic?
I always am. And I'll say this about this showcase. I mean, if we wanted to get on the phone today, we could fill every spot of every game and be done in this week. That's not how this thing works. I think this showcase coming up is a chance that a kid that I may not know anything about, we may not know anything about, it shows initiative. Now, every kid there is not getting invited. That's just not how this thing works. But you want a fair opportunity, you sign up. We're going to watch some tape beforehand. You come out and work out, and you will have an advantage over some of the kids that we don't really know and some of the kids we don't have time to dig into. So, I know it's kind of the end of the year. Some teams are still going to be playing. It's not going to be crazy. We're not going to get in there and do a bunch of one-on-ones. We'll see you move around. We'll see you in person, see you throw the ball, see you catch, see you move around. And that's the best thing about this Georgia Elite Classic, man. I got a chance to watch a kid the other night, Cam Vaughn. He's leading Jack State in the receiving right now. Nobody knew who he was. And a couple people kept calling me about him. I was like, you know what? We got a spot in the senior game. He came to Georgia Elite Classic 2 years ago at a small Temple high school, and he balled out, got MVP of the senior game. And I've watched him 2 weeks in a row on ESPN, and they're going to have their hands full keeping this kid. I know there's probably coaches all over him now, but those are the stories we like. Somebody that probably didn't get, 100 offers out of high school. Jack State might have been his only offer, but Georgia Elite Classic played a big role in his, his career, and those are the fun parts.
Thanks, Rusty. Appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow with the Georgia-Florida game. We will be back Monday. Don't forget, tonight, 8 o'clock, Hebron Christian plays Prince Avenue Christian on the Peachtree Sports Network. Have a good weekend.